talking about?
So like I said, I have no idea what I was talking about. The minute it stops, you know.
That's
It's
right.
so in the moment that really,
Yes, it's true.
really, if
What a
somebody
relief,
stops
though,
me
you
in the
don't have
midst
to
of the
remember.
sentence, it's gone.
I know.
There is no
or
recall.
mull it over and mull it over and mull it over and have it
And
make
also,
sense.
you're realizing that you don't have to prove yourself to anyone.
No, there's nothing to prove.
Exactly.
What is there to prove, and to whom? And to whom? You know, this is the fallacy. I need to prove myself, or I need to, you know, have people substantiate this story, or, you know, I need to feel better by myself by X, Y, and Z. Well, no. When one comes to the most simplistic and sees it's only that one ground of being, what is there to prove?
Someone who knows you anyway. I mean,
There's nothing to prove anywhere. And the experience of humankind is the experience of humankind. Okay, so even in the transient experience, what is there to prove? We've all gone through the transient experience of feeling sad and vulnerable and emotional and all of these things. So what is there to prove? We understand what that is because we've traversed it. Okay? So if we understand that when we are going, even in the midst of it, before realization, if you can understand that you're in sadness, you can see that other people are in sadness, you know, along the way. If you can understand your fear of the vulnerability, then you can understand other people's fear. And when they sit there and backlash and their thing, you understand they're protecting their storyline. It's their story. Okay? It's their story. We cannot change another person's story. Okay? We cannot do the work for them. But we can understand that emotionality and what's there. Okay, leave them to their storyline, whatever it is they need to have at that moment. But understand that this is not needed in the end. This storyline of the me is that which holds suffering in place. It keeps the wheel in motion. It keeps the mind stuff in motion. It keeps all of these things in motion. And they're riding the waves and trying to swim through the waves rather than allowing to sink into the bottom of the ocean where you can see the waves but they're no longer affecting you. Okay?
we're so conditioned that this is how we are to respond to everything. So that's what's so wonderful, is to have the word of truth spoken that we register with. I mean, the heart knows it's hearing, and then you can let something go that drove you forever.
Yeah.
You thought had to.
And you can challenge that by not going into immediate reactionary mode. If you can go into witness state, you have a buffer zone. And then you can witness and you can see it as it's happening. And then you're going, God, how stupid is this?
The whole life sometimes just wasted in a place you didn't need to be.
Exactly.
Just worrying over something.
Right.
Because you really thought that was what you had to do.
Exactly.
How can you let go of something bad just in case it might be true and you haven't dealt properly, or there's a zillion ways we hold.
A gazillion ways the mind gets caught up in it. And this is why we keep coming back to the practice and the simplicity of breathe. Do the breath. Balanced breath. If you're doing not only just the awareness of the breath, but the balanced breath, then again it creates more of a buffer zone and allows one to relax, so that when these emotions and these things come up, they're like small ripples across rather than these thundering storms that one can't get away from. Okay? So if one can back off, and the minute this stuff comes up, go into the balanced breath and just witness with awareness what is coming up, then you'll find out that it's not so unpleasant. Okay? That it's going through the interface of the form as an echo of this energy. Okay? So energy within itself is not negative or positive. That's the mind spin we put upon it. Energy is neutral.
With both the positive and the negative sense of ions, would you say, in proper place? When you think of it that way, or?
One just thinks of it in the way that all energy is neutral, and what puts the mind spin on it makes it appear negative or positive. Okay.
Everything's in balance.
Everything is in balance. Everything is in balance. This is why karma keeps trying to bring things back to balance. If it swings one way, it swings it back the other way. This is why, even though people want to go, I only want to do the positive, but when they're doing that type of mentality, then they will continually find the negative.
Because it wants to come back into balance,
into neutral point.
They kind of cancel each other out in
They do.
a sense.
So the only way, if you really want to come to the positive in the end, one comes to the neutral, the 0 point. And then it's flow. Okay. Then one witnesses it, but there is not this judgment. It's negative as positive. It's negative as positive. You know.
Like a monkey swinging on a tree. How will I be today and tomorrow? Different. I went through a terrible period. I could never trust myself to be the same the next day. I never knew. And then that more, the solid place of hiding. It's almost like, well, it's not a hiding. It's a refuge to run to the breath. And then I started to feel a little guilty about being able to run to the breath, because I should be doing something about this, shouldn't I? But if I got outside the breath, I was paralyzed, so I just get back into the breath. Found I was sitting an awful lot. Shouldn't I be doing something? Couldn't move outside of it. So that's been a question of mine. At some point, it seems there's got to be some action, something.
It's got to be more difficult than it is. So once again, this puts in play, this needs to be more difficult than it is. But it's the same thing, you know, to get to realization that perfection, that unchanging is always there. So it's not we're going to learn our way there. I need to do this. I need to have doership. I need to learn my way there. I need to progress my way there. It's not that at all. It's when one finally stops and allows that stillness to come and faces that which is unknown, then we find out it has always been there. Okay? So it's not necessarily, I have to learn this, it means that we finally have to stop chasing the other things and we find out what's always been there. And when one stops chasing the other things and just sits and allows this swinging pendulum to stop, then we find out that there was nothing needed to be changed. That it's always been WHOLE underneath all of these seeming other things. Okay? So this is a point of stilling, and as one stills, things will rectify in themselves. Okay?
That's what I needed to hear.
As one stills, things will rectify by itself. But we are so taught from a young age, I need to do in order to change this. What is there to change when underneath all of that, when it still is that perfection?